Oh my goodness.
Did you put that together today or when did you? Whoa. Okay. Wow.
I use it every year.
It just rolled off of the table and now back under the table.
It's like a mile long.
Hold on, Shannon. How long have you had this scroll?
I have.
Somebody needs to introduce you to a Google
you
Doc.
add to it every year?
I just want to tell you some funny jokes. Let me tell you a joke.
Okay.
So somehow, on purpose, you have wandered into the on-air, off-air podcast where things that happen on the air happen more just off the air. In this little room, we have some folks to introduce. Let's go counterclockwise today, shall we? Starting across the table from myself.
This is Shannon, and I am on overnights, and I talk to you as you eat your late night snacks.
Ooh, nice. Yes.
My name is Chad from the River Morning Show.
And I'm Laura Lee, Sundays.
And I'm Josh from the River Morning Show also. This is a group that I don't know where we're going to go with this, but here we are.
It's going to be fun.
Here we are. It is a couple of days before, as of this recording, a couple of days before Father's Day. Woo-hoo. So I wanted to spend some time talking about dads. Now, with the first caveat, understanding your relationship and memories of your dad as you watch and or listen to this, and maybe even in this room, may not be the ideal perfect thing you want or wish think that I may be expecting. There is none of that. It is what it is. And so whether you had a father figure, grandpa, uncle, neighbor, friend, whatever, that person is an important part of this discussion today. So I want to start with Chad's love language of dad jokes and dad phrases.
Okay.
The very best ones that you've got
hilarity.
are stuff that your dad would say growing up or whatever it may be. What comes to mind? I just want to start, popcorn this thing. Just start shouting them out,
My dad is largely the reason that I am the way that I am. I look up to him
Wow, shots
as an
fired.
icon to have those kind of jokes and those kind of skills. He used to say things like, well, wherever you go, there you are.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
love that.
What does that even mean? But there you are whenever you get there.
Did any of your dads come back with this one when you would go and tell him, I'm hungry? He would say, hi, hungry. I'm dad.
Yeah.
I do like
Dad,
that.
I know you're dad.
do
I just
that
want my
now.
fruit
My
roll-up.
dad still does that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing.
It never goes away. Once you start, you don't stop.
Except now it's like, hi, Dad, I'm hungry. And it's like, hi, I'm Dad. And now you have your own job and you can get your own snacks.
Right. Right, exactly. If your refrigerator's empty, it's your dang fault. It's no one else's. Yeah. And Laura Lee, you have the distinct pleasure of also being married to a dad. You very soon will be married, Shannon.
Yes.
And then hopefully in the near future or far future or whatever, dad and mom will become a thing for you guys. But does your husband have anything like off the wall, off the rocker crazy that he does and says, I am so putting you on the spot right now?
Yeah, you are. Well,
It's what dads do.
my side hobby is theater. I
Yeah.
do civic shows.
Yeah.
And he's a sports guy.
Okay.
Oh,
So
a contrast.
even now, like one of the first shows I brought him to at the college in our town, and it's like professional. It's like seeing professional shows. At intermission, he said, "That's halftime."
Yep.
Does he boo?
I understand the language now.
Well, and right?
Throws things.
And I was like, that was funny the first time. But it's always those it's constant with I'm always having, and I think he thinks it's funny. I love you, honey.
Except the thing is, when it's intermission, there's no halftime show or Doritos commercials to be playing. So
No,
Right.
you go out and get concessions.
you get
Yeah.
Or you run to the
concessions.
bathroom.
During a scene change or whatever, like that's a timeout, so I
Yeah.
could see how the sports analogy could work. I could see how it absolutely worked. Shannon, so the question then back to the original
Yes.
dad joke that you love or a dad phrase he always said, one or both. What do you got?
So I got to say that my dad is the most hilarious man on this planet, and he is so incredibly funny. And
Congratulations, Shannon's dad. Way to go. You
beat the rest of us.
he needs an award. He doesn't have one
maybe
yet.
you
I'll
need to
probably
know
make him
more
one.
people.
For him
I
someday.
will.
could.
That is what I'm going to do. I'm going to send him an award, and it's going to probably look really cheesy, but he is so incredibly funny. You look at him and you look at me and you're like, you're the same person. The only unfortunate thing, and I brought props.
Oh, excellent.
now
The
this
only
is a girl after my own heart.
unfortunate thing is that he did not have any dad jokes for being the funniest guy
That's
in the
okay.
world.
That's
So
all right.
I had to scrounge and hunt for my own self for my own hilarity, and my fiance does not like puns. So I will be one donning the dad jokes. Excuse me.
Okay, yes, please do.
Yeah.
If
I'm excited.
If you're listening and not watching, there's stuff under the table here.
Oh my
I have
goodness,
to
how
get
cute.
my
You literally have a
scroll
scroll of
dad
paper.
jokes here.
Oh
What
my
in
goodness.
Did you put that
Tarnation.
together today, or when did you? Whoa. Okay. Wow.
I use it every year.
Is it rolled off of the table and now
I
back
know, I mean,
under the
it's
table?
like a mile long.
Hold on, Shannon. How long have you had this scroll?
I have.
Somebody needs to introduce you to a
you
Google
add
Doc.
to it every year?
I just want to tell you some funny jokes. Let me tell you a joke.
Okay.
What's the most terrifying word in nuclear physics? Oops.
I think that's
Yeah.
terrifying word to hear have a
Yeah.
doctor say too. I think.
There are 3 fish in a tank. One asks the others, "How do you drive this thing?"
Ah,
Yeah.
like,
So I look
like a
at
boom
this.
tank.
I heard
And
that
I
one.
think
Say
to
boo?
myself,
Boom.
you know what? I have to have all of these jokes.
There's
And
more.
I have to carry on my father's legacy of being funny, but being funnier. So that is my,
Excellent.
that is,
You
that
only
is why
read
I
like
have
2
them.
off of that list. You
Yeah,
need
that's
to-
a long list.
You need to get back to
I
it.
think you should.
You can have some. I'll maybe post them on my Twitter.
Let's go to Chad next. Grab your list. I want a couple more. Grab your list again. Chad, how about you? Dad jokes or dad phrases that your dad particularly used?
I think I shared mine already, didn't I?
I think he's.
Wherever
Well,
you
I
go,
just
there you
Dad
are.
joked out.
I think he is always saying dad jokes.
Well, I think that's why I went back to you because
Yeah.
I just
He's gotta
expected
have
something
more
It's a
than-
else.
part of
Come on.
Chad's
He
human
expects-
nature.
He expects more from me.
every time I'm in a room with you, you are dropping the dad joke.
He's not mad. He's
I'm
just
disappointed.
Just disappointed.
We can come back
Just
to
like
you.
dad. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, come back to me.
It's
'cause
like this essentially, like I feel like the dad right now because you knew the waitress was coming. Why didn't you have your order ready?
Ooh,
There's always that one
ouch.
kid you have to come back to
There's
because
a
you're like,
structure in who is getting their order.
I'm not ready.
I'm never ready.
I don't know.
I had these
All
written
right.
down.
So, dad joke and or dad phrase your dad does or used to say. Anything come to mind?
no, it's not
Now
ready
she's
to
got
order. What did I say earlier? I've already forgotten.
He says that. What a weird phrase.
No, it was
for a
when
dad
we were
to say.
talking earlier.
It's okay. Memories.
yeah.
Memory fades.
Yeah. I mean, he's always punny.
I don't think in terms of puns. That's not a
Really?
skill
Okay.
I have.
Is it like
Are you
dry
dad joke
jokes
funny
or
at
like
all?
No.
quippy
You're not
jokes?
dad joke. What are what?
I'm physical
I'm taking
humor.
You fit-
Like
it's
Jim
kinda
Carrey
like a
type
Dick
stuff.
Van Dyke show kind of thing.
Yeah, like if somebody's going to get hurt and it's funny, that's usually me. And it's not funny to me, but it's funny to everybody else. But I do have a dad joke that I worked up. I did not create it. By working it up, that means I memorized it. That's all that I mean. How do you help an astronaut baby fall asleep?
Oh.
You rock it.
You're rocking.
You were going to say it. You should have just gone through.
That one's out of this world.
Yeah.
I liked it a
Thanks.
lot.
Thanks. And it's something that my dad and my mom, but particularly my dad would say, because instead of what the heck, because for some people that's too close
Yeah.
to the word you shouldn't say.
Don't,
So
don't skirt that.
yeah. So
You
what
just
my
said that on the podcast.
off air part of the on air off air podcast, what my dad always and still says is, "What the grunt are you talking about?" Like,
That's actually kind of cute.
That reminds me of
the grunt and
crunts.
that reminds me of Tim Hawkins, the Tim Hawkins video.
Yeah,
for
right, like the Christian cuss
It's like,
words.
son of a motherless goat.
yes,
Whoa,
exactly.
easy.
I'm good. Yeah, we're getting a little past my.
Ooh, I'm sweating.
I want to tell you what my dad did tell me about
Okay.
jokes,
All right, sis, please.
and you're gonna quickly realize how I failed at it. Whenever he would tell us jokes, he would say, "You need to tell yourself the joke 3 times in order to memorize it, and then you'll be able to take my jokes and tell them." And obviously, I didn't
Right.
do that.
Didn't care.
You
You're
just
like,
blocked
Because
it
I
out.
couldn't. I was just like, "What's a
Yeah.
joke?" And I was like, "So can we call a friend? Let's call my dad." Just kidding.
Okay, here's one.
Phone a friend.
I remember one / I just Googled it and memorized it.
That's fine. That's
I
fine.
only know 25 letters of the alphabet, and I don't know why.
classic.
Yeah. Yeah,
This is a genuine laugh. I like that a lot, actually. Some of them, when they come your way, you not only roll your eyes, you kind of want to roll your steering wheel so you're off the road and maybe hit a tree or something. They're just that bad. They're just that bad. So thank you for sharing in honor to remember your dad's and Father's Day. Now, this next one is just in general for the men in your life that God has placed there, but who, and I'm assuming it is probably going to be your fathers, and that's fine. That's not a wrong answer. But who in your life has been the most like godly, fatherly figure for you as an example, somebody to help you grow and to spur you on, and how did they do that? What if we go the other direction now?
And start me.
Yeah, start with Laura Lee.
I will say that there are many.
Yeah.
But when I break it down and I think of the reasons why, I'm going to share a little story of something my dad did for my brother and I when we were kids.
Great.
And it's like one of my best memories even now when I reflect on everything as a child, like the wonder of being a child, right? You just like, there's all these, it's almost part that's just beautiful and there's so many new things you're learning.
Well, it's magical almost.
Magical. I wanted to use that word. It was kind of.
That's right. Harry Potter's
magical.
in the next podcast.
It's magical, and this is a magical story.
Yeah.
You said it.
So, my brother and I were big Winnie the Pooh fans.
Love Winnie the Pooh.
And it started with probably watching the Disney shows, but then went quickly to the books by A.A. Milne.
I was gonna pause and ask Disney or A.A. Milne because
kind of both.
Hers are way better.
Oh, there's different ones.
Yeah.
New things.
Anyway.
There's a
we-
whole series. I have the whole box.
We
It's a
made
box set. I
we
have
made
the
our
box
kids
set.
get rid of. They had Winnie the Pooh shoes because there was just a little poo on it, so I had to throw.
There's a dad joke. Hey man, serious story here.
Sorry. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
We've moved on.
So
Sorry.
what had happened? So there were some trees in our area, and my dad went and took pieces of like 2x4s and nailed them to the trees where it looked like there had a natural kind of like in the bark. It looked like there was maybe a door, and it was just either a really sweet story or it was how he occupied us when he wanted to get sarcastic. So what he told us
You are
was
easily
that
entertained.
Winnie the Pooh lived in this one particular tree. And if we were just patient enough and knocked and please come out. And I believed that for so many years.
Wow.
That's actually kind of
But
adorable.
It's adorable. And that's why I say it's either really adorable or it was these kids.
No,
Go out and knock on the door again.
I think it's both. I think it's adorable and it's hashtag dad winning. Like
it
I think
was a dad
Exactly.
win.
It's adorable. I could do this all day.
Yeah,
That's hysterical.
I thought I put you there for a
These-
second.
this is why I had come back to chat earlier, is because it's always just right on
You
the
just-
tip of the brain.
when it's on the
not, you
spot.
can't put them on the spot.
When
You
it-
can't put
when
them
it's on the spot, it's just like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
it's got to be more in other people's. It's basically stealing everyone's thunder.
I have to be the one interrupting people.
That's it.
I can't plan anything because it always goes
How
awry.
chat works.
But I have to interrupt people. That's where the laughs come.
What's something that your dad or a man in your life did for you to teach you a valuable lesson or to help you? You said your dad's the reason you are the way you are. I imagine that includes a lot of the good things too.
I hope so.
So
Yeah.
somebody that God brought into your life that really made a big difference for you.
Yeah, it is. I attribute a lot of my characteristics, good and bad, to my dad. But a lot of great ones. He would always encourage us to choose today who you're going to serve. And
that's
it
good.
was not just like a whoever you want, man. It was just always with the encouragement that like, hey, today's a new day, fresh slate. Get back to God, choose Him, and go after Him. And along with that, he would also encourage us that there was always room at the top of anything, whether it was a job, the class, there's always room up there to do your best and to work hard. And oddly, in the era of the world that we're in right now, you don't have to work that hard to stand out. Mediocre is like the new normal.
Yeah.
And
Unfortunately.
I've encouraged
Now
my
you
kids.
sound like a dad.
Yeah.
Get off my lawn.
right?
So yeah, it's I attribute a lot of that to him, and I probably lived up to half of what he's recommended that we do, and I'm still working on the rest.
That's good. Shannon, how about you?
I actually have a rather odd one, but my dad, first of all, with my dad, like he is so sweet, kind, caring, funny, was like best buddies. And he's basically a best friend. He's taught me a lot in life, but I would actually like to say that to a degree, the quote father figure in my life is actually my aunt.
Okay.
Because we actually, when I was younger, went through a really hard time, and my family went through some hurt and pain and didn't have the support they needed from around us, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And so we didn't get to go to church. We didn't get to have the word of God in our lives. And so my aunt was like, we have to do something. And she's encouraging them as much as they can as they're trying to deal with the hurt. But I was able to go to different VBSs, go to youth group, and even learn stuff. It's like, hey, Shannon, you need to learn how to work your car so that way the mechanics don't gyp you.
Yeah,
or
that's
things
great.
Like Shannon, go above and beyond. Don't settle for less. Like all of those lessons that I learned while my parents went through a very hard time and still sometimes do, she stepped up to the plate to show, hey, this is how we walk in life. We follow God, we do our best, and you live it with joy. And I would also like to combat that with saying, yeah, like there's room and improvement in all kinds of growth areas for whether you're a parent or you're an extended family member.
Nobody's a finished product.
Exactly. But my dad, when he got married, he said, hey, I have a horrible, horrible past. And it's full of like addiction and all these other crazy, really bad things. And he said, I'm not going to let that carry into our marriage or into my family. And it's none of our family is like that. So it is really cool to see how God has used both people in my life to help me grow. So
awesome.
I find that just so interesting. It's like, who's the father figure in your life? Well, my dad, but really my aunt.
Yeah.
So
But it fits, it works. And I love the fact that your dad is a chain breaker, you know, because those things they last because a father doesn't know any better or doesn't know any different and doesn't know how to do different.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times those hurts and problems can perpetuate generation after generation. But then God brings along the chain breaker to start something new. And I love the fact that that's your dad.
Yeah.
And that God has blessed you with a family like that. I will always say for me, I am blessed beyond measure because I come from an exceptionally kind, loving, and godly family. And I'm so grateful for it. I didn't do anything to deserve it. And I know even saying that sometimes can make people jealous and bring about hurts and things.
jealous.
Yeah, that they remember that they didn't have. My dad, I still want to be him when I grow up. Both my grandfathers who have gone on and are now with Jesus, they were some of my best friends. They were always at everything. One of my grandfathers was blind and he would still come to my ball games. Why would he do that?
So he could,
Just so that he was there.
he was there. And he knew when you were at bat.
Yeah,
and
his
he
presence
knew,
was
yeah.
a gift.
He probably
was.
would memorize the sound of you going up to bat.
And here's the thing, that grandfather, both of them could have built a house out of nothing when they were younger men, but that grandfather in particular lived until he was 89 and he still was working in his wood shop with saws and drills and everything. And he could make you something because he could feel how long certain planks of wood and how long
Talk
certain
about
things
hard
needed.
work and determination.
Can I tell you something about your family and your situation
Oh, dear
and all
heavens.
that? No, this is good.
Yeah, okay, good.
Because it's not like we hang out a whole lot.
Right,
But
right.
but this is a really good testament to just how you present yourself everywhere.
Okay.
But on Facebook, I have picked up that dynamic about you and your family just from a few occasional posts about either your dad or your parents. And I've always thought, and I've never felt like you were saying, some people jealous. I've always been like, wow, that is like so great that you have that and that you share that with other people. So
I want to be sure that I don't break that chain. You know what I mean? Like God gave me 4 children that I want to lead and train and teach so that when they grow and have their own families, they know what choosing today who you will serve looks like. And I don't do it every day. And I don't do it right every day. And I have to apologize to my children a lot. Yeah. But I do that because I have seen that modeled. And one really two last things. One lesson that my dad always taught me that I shared on the air, but this is kind of the other part of the story, is I was in junior high playing soccer, but I wasn't playing very much because I was the younger kid and wasn't as good. Sure. And so I wasn't getting opportunities, and Dad picks me up after his long day of work, and I throw my bag in the car, slam doors, and sit down. And I'd never see my dad angry. It's maybe one of the angriest times, and he didn't even yell at me. He just looked at me and he said, "You can be angry, but it's what you do with your anger that matters."
That's good. That's good.
I was 13.
You're like, should I have thrown it harder? Should I slam the door a little harder?
Well, thankfully, it's one of those like
Whisper
I
anger.
knew to be done at that moment.
Yeah.
And then the last piece is this, and maybe your situation is more like Shannon's or somebody who, when you think of a father, you instantly do get angry or you do have hurt. I was doing a study for a men's group one time going, okay, I'm going to put out here all the great examples of fathers in the Bible. And I looked and I looked and I looked and I didn't find any. You go through all the heroes of the faith, David, Moses, any of the prophets, dudes in the New Testament, they're a wreck.
They all fail.
They all fail miserably.
Yeah.
I mean, Abraham sent his first son away with his son's mom, Hagar. He sent Ishmael out in the desert to die. Just sent him away.
Was he complaining about what was cooked for dinner?
No.
There's times where I'm like,
he wanted more time on the Xbox.
Okay.
Moses didn't follow one of God's regulations and nearly got his son killed for it. Like it just goes on. And David had so many sons, he couldn't parent any of them well. So it's that situation of going, it really is true. God is the only good father we have.
And what a picture that points when you see all of these examples and like in the Bible and in other situations, and you just, it magnifies God even more.
Exactly. It really does.
And it's a comfort. It's an encouragement. And it's just like, no matter
and it
what.
opens up hope for the hopeless. When you look at the Bible and all of the main characters are dumpster fires.
Mm-hmm.
And God's like, and I still loved this dumpster fire and I still love this dumpster
and
fire.
I used them.
I used them and I redeemed them. And the book is burning.
Yeah.
Like open up section.
Yeah. The bottom line is this. God as our Father wasn't a thing until Jesus came and made it possible for us to get back to God. And he has adopted us and he's given us everything. We're in the will. You are a joint heir of the kingdom with Jesus because God, when you say you believe that Christ is who he says he is, you become a child of his. You become a kid of the King. And this Father's Day, no matter what those words have always meant to you or felt, good or bad, it's so much better knowing who God actually really is. And he loves you. And so for you, we wish you, can I do this? We wish you on behalf of God a happy Father's Day. And we turn that back to him and say thanks to our heavenly dad for loving us so well. This is the On Air, Off Air podcast.
This podcast is a production of River Radio Ministries. You can find more podcasts like this one at riverradio.com. And if you like what you're hearing, make sure to subscribe wherever you're listening now. And be sure to tell a friend so they can listen too.